Okay, whoa. Before we start this episode, we're doing the cast of kindness right off the bat. We're going to pump the brakes on everything else. I got to tell you about a fella on YouTube there, and if you like my videos, then you got him to thank, because he's the whole reason why I turned the camera back on there 4 or 5 months ago, whatever it was. He was the fella that kind of inspired me to get going, and his name is on YouTube is Tractorman44, and I believe his name is Wendell, and he's a very kind fella. He just recently, I sent him a plaque, because he's been helping me out with the buzzsaw that I got there and a few other things. He's very knowledgeable, and if you go to his channel and you shoot him a comment, he'll likely comment back to you. And he's just a wealth of knowledge and genuine to boot. So I tell you what, there I sent him a plaque as sort of a thank you. And so I mean, we do a little bit of artwork around here, and that's one of our little ventures that we do once in a while. So some of the cookies I cut, I dry them out, and then we put something like a stencil or something on it, eh? And then we do something. So we decided to do something special for him, because he's been a wealth of knowledge and a world of help to me. So we sent him the Tractorman44 plaque. It was just our best image of hopefully a Massey Harris silhouette. I think we did okay. He seems to like it. So and then it had his handle there. And it's a nice piece of ash. So we sent that down to Missouri, and he just recently got it. And the guy was so tickled and so kind, he dedicated a video to it and to us, and gave us a shout out and the whole whack. And a few of you are new to the channel now, and you come over from his channel, and oh man, I got to give you guys a thank you too, because that's just so awesome. I mean, Wendell, if you're watching, I really appreciate that. It means the world to me that you went out of the way and went up your rafters and took some film of them saws for me, and all that. And hey, you know, it just tickles me to death. You know, not everybody would do that for a fella. You know, just a guy that you met 4 months ago on the YouTubes, and you know what? The kind words he says in this video and all that, I'll put the link down below. It makes my cheeks rosy. I can't you know, I don't know what else to say about it. So, cast of kindness. It's going to go to Wendell, aka Tractorman44. We know you're a good family man. We see you do videos of helping out your in-laws and your daughters and everybody else. You know, it's awesome to see all these things that you even do for friends and all that. I remember watching a video where you went to a neighbor lady's place and you fixed her furnace and whatnot. So, Wendell, you're a family man, you're a community man, you're a darn kind man. Cast of kindness goes to you today. And you know what? Not only am I going to send you a sticker, you're getting a hat too, man. And just take it. You've earned it, and you're darn well deserving of it. So let's get on with the day. Snowstorm today, so not a pleasant day to be out drawing, but the basics still need to be done. But in between then, I figured why not, we'll restring one of the Berkeleys. So it's a simple chore, but I do see a lot of people, they take them into Canadian Tire or Cabela's or whatnot, and they get their rod restrung. And well, you really don't need to do that, because it's a fairly simple little chore, and it can be done pretty quickly, just by the average Joe. What I've got here is a ultralight Berkeley lightning rod, just about the only two-piece that I own. I use this for brook trout and perch and all that, which, I mean, if you get one going in the spring, might as well get your ultralight going, because it's going to be perch season in brook trout time. So I like these. They're a well-priced and well-balanced rod. They've got the multi-carbon fiber, so you get quite a bit of rigidity to the backbone of this. Cork handle, which I've always been a fan of the cork handle over the synthetics. I just find, especially after you've handled enough fish, the synthetics really get kind of grimed up and yucky. These just tend to hold up all right. This is a bit dusty from sitting all winter, but without further ado, let's get to take and turn apart. So I've already flipped the bail. You can take the spool right off for removing it. I generally don't. I just set her down and I hold the rod with my feet, like I'm a yoga master. And then you just kind of wrap it around your hand. Now you can actually get an electric tool. My dad has one, and you just feed the line in there, and then there's 2 rubber wheels that'll just shoot the line out for you. And I mean, like, just like anything, there's always a tool to make your life easier should you want to go out and spend the money on it and whatnot. Like, I've got something similar but different, like right here beside me, for when I'm restringing flat tops or even the electric guitars. It's a peg binder. Use that to put the strings on and off your guitars. Like I said, sometimes there's a tool that's just out there to make your life easier, and you just yet to know it, you know. Anyways, just a matter of removing a line. It's so simple. Probably, I guess, the simplest part of it. So we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so we get down to the end here, and your mitt will be covered in your line. Make sure you get this disposed of in a proper garbage bag or a receptacle. I know that, I think it's the 705 Anglers Club. I'm not 100% sure on that, but one of our local clubs around here, they have all these line disposal devices or receptacles, whatever you want to call that. And it's for you to put your old used hooks and line in it, and it's just a PVC tube, and it's got the hole for you to put the line and all that. And I mean, most of you already know this stuff can be pretty hazardous to the environment. You know, young critters get tangled up in it, whether it be like a turtle or a bird swimming in the water. The fish even get yanked up in it. So make sure you get rid of it. Even when I find it in the water, I try and put it in my pocket or whatever, right? Or stuff it in the boat and try and get it off the lake. Same thing goes for shotgun shells. I do the same thing out when I'm out duck hunting. So it's funny. I reach for this more often than not. But you can use side cutters if you're not very confident with a blade, because you don't really want to nick your spool too much. I mean, on ultralight, it's not going to be overly critical because you're not yanking on friggin' horse-sized muskies or anything like that. But yeah, ideally, you want to just cut this line without creating any abrasives on your spool, because those abrasives, when you get a heavier fish on there, can cause the line to fray and break. So that's not kosher. We don't want that. So you go ahead and use side cutters. They're a little more blunt edged, and you can get in there. I believe my dad, he used for my entire life fingernail clippers. Work good for him, and I'm sure that's what a lot of other guys use as well. And it looks like I didn't cut with that thing all that great, but usually it's good enough. Once you've broken the knot, you can just pull this little bit off. So set that aside, make sure we dispose of that properly. Your next step is you're going to want to go ahead and remove the spool. And just on your drag adjustment is the same thing that holds your spool down. Inside there, you'll see like there's a little washer, and then there's like a little sprocket underneath. Okay, set this aside. Under here will be the little washer. Oh, just a little sprocket on this one. Some of them have a little Teflon or whatever washer on top there, just as a buffer. I may have lost this over the years. I've had this rod for quite a while, and you know, it's been good. So I've changed the line so many times. But yeah, when you set that aside, just make sure that you don't lose that little sprocket there, because that's what holds this from unspooling on you while you're cranking in the fish. So what I have somewhere set it up over there, but I've got my new line here. So what I'm using is just your basic tri-lean 4-pound test. I've always advocated for use the lightest amount of test and amount of gear you can get away with.
Just gives you a bit more of a finesse feel for what you're doing, and it makes your bait less visible. Instead of having a big hydro cord, you got this little thin line. It's not going to stand out as much. I like the monofilament just because it ties nicely, the visibility situation, and I'm super familiar with it. The other thing is too, when you're buying your line, make sure you got enough line, because they do sell them in bigger spools or even smaller spools for your ice fishing and all that kind of stuff. It'll say right on your spool from your rod how much line it'll take, and this one so it has a recommendation for 6 pound and 4 pound. On the 6 pound, it says you get 80 yards of line, and then on your 4 pound, it is 100 yards of line. So this being 110 yards of trilene, I should theoretically have 10 yards left over. So that's rough, give or take, because I just go by eye. You just want to kind of a little under that little lip there, because you don't want it past the lip, because obviously she's just going to fly apart and bird's nest on you, and then that's no good for fishing. So let's get to putting this on here. So you can feed it through the eyelets before you tie it too. Because I hold it with my fingers anyways to keep it tight while it's spooling on, which that's fairly critical as far as I know. You have to keep your line tight as it's coming on the reel at all times, even when you're fishing. Otherwise you're just going to get loops and wondrous things that you don't want to deal with. Oh yeah, so you can put it through the eyelets if you so choose, but I don't. I just hold it and then I put it through before I rig it up. So I can just go on the floor wherever she do, not a big deal. And then we're going to do a Palmar Nut over top of the spool. So normally with a Palmar Nut you go through, back out the hook and all that. So we're just going to pretend like we've got the loop there. And then when it comes to time to put her tight, we just put her on our spool, right where the eyelet of the hook would go, and then do our little floop-de-hoop. Not hard to moisturize the thing. Usually with the Palmar Knot, you want to dunk it in the lake or give her a kiss, and then she's good to go. Just give it some sort of lubrication as you're pulling that line tight, because you don't want to create a whole bunch of heat from the friction, because you can ruin the structural integrity of your line. Now this is where you could use clippers or fingernail cutters, but I've just come to always use the carpet or the modeling knife or the Olfa knife, whatever you like to call these guys. You just kind of put it underneath your line, pull it tight, so it cuts like that, and you just cut away from the spool, and you're not gonna score it. You're not gonna skip it. It's just fine. So, you know, clear as mud, simple. And then you just redo what you undid earlier. Now you don't have to go too snug, because you're going to adjust this later. Alright, and then you want to hold the line vertical to where like the eyelet will be, and then just leave your fingers loose. Let that line slip through. Now you can go ahead and put some WD-40 on your fingers to reduce the smell of what's going on the line, or any kind of scented stuff. My hands are always covered in grease and stuff anyway, so it's not a big deal for me. But the old timers that taught me how to fish always said you want to kind of mask your human scent on your line and bait. And I got a cat on the line here. Fiskars, would you bugger off, you? You silly cat. That's the other thing too. If you got kitty cats, they like to get out to the line as you're pulling her in there. But yeah, so just keep an eye on that. Make sure you're not reeling in any, you know, foreign objects and loops and stuff like that. You want it fairly uniform and, you know, neat looking. Because the better job you do here, the less of a pain it's going to be on the water as they're creating memory on the line. But yeah, just whatever face is comfortable. Now I don't know that there's a tool that helps you spool them on yet. I think this is just about the only way to do her. Could be wrong. I know there's ones where you can put the spool on the machine and all that, but that seems like a bit of a pain, doesn't it? Have a whole separate machine. I mean, unless you're a store doing it, doesn't really make sense. Just do it this way. But as I always say, I'm not a professional, and this is obviously not the only way to do it. If you've got a better way that works for you, all the power to you, and please share it with us. I mean, we all are always looking for easier ways to do things. Nobody wants to struggle. Nobody. So, like I said, just get it so it's just you know, to the edge of the lip, not past it, and not too darn far under it. Look on here. You know what? There's about 10 yards of line left. You know, they're pretty good, and like I said, it's a rough thing. If you measured it, I'm sure it's not exactly 10. Probably a little less or a little more, one or the other. If it was 10 yards bang on, we should almost measure that. I got a big enough tape. Got one of those big real tapes. Oh, I'm almost curious enough to do that. I don't know how interested you guys would be into that kind of thing. Maybe I'll just do that on my own. So that was a bit of a goon here. I let go of the line. That's not something you want to do because then it kind of gets all squiggly wiggly. So try not to let go of your line because you don't want it going all squiggly wiggly. If it does, just make sure you feed it through tightly and neatly again. If it has to let go a bit more, let go a little bit more. Okay. So, like I said, you can just feed her through the eyelets. Oh, jeez. It's an interesting fact that this is one of the things that as you get older, it gets harder to do. And it has nothing to do with your motor skills. It has everything to do with your eyesight. As you stare into the sun for more and more years on end, the fine edges of things become a little more fuzzy. Okay, so like I said, it's my ultralight, so we're gonna set it up to do some perch fishing and brook trout, which I usually use live bait, whether it be worm or minnow. And with the live bait, I like to run the split shot up high and a small, I think it's a number 3 little trout hook on the bottom. Grab one of these little hooks and I'll show you what I mean. I've got a variety of these things. This is actually one of the bigger ones, but it'll be just as fine for the perch I'm going for in Lake Simcoe. Friggin' massive. The other thing you can do for this setup is you can take off a good like 2 or so feet, you know, I guess a good 2.5 feet. Cut that bit of line off and tie a barrel swivel up top. That way when you're bringing her in from a long distance, they tend to like to do a little bit of a barrel roll, and that'll put twist in your line. So if that's the technique that you're dealing with, then you might want to consider putting the barrel swivel on your live bait setup. Or if that's just something that you've noticed and you don't know why, you're getting all this, you know, all this wind to your line. It's for that reason, and there is a solution. You just put a little barrel swivel on, which I'm sure I've got. Now here, a little barrel swivel there. So if you don't know what a barrel swivel is, that's what it is. A little swivel, 2 eyelets on either end, and then just like it's like a little rotating swivel. So it'll take the twist out of your line as it's coming, or it'll twist instead of your line. And again, we're going to go ahead with the Palmar Knot, which is, from what I understand, the simplest and easiest knot you can use, or simplest, easiest, and strongest knot you can use in fishing. This is what my dad told me. This is what I heard watching Hank Parker's Outdoor Magazine. Great show. Go check that out if you get a chance. They all say Palmar Knot. That's the way to go. So Palmar Knot, go in and back through. So you have a loop on one side, and then 2 ends on the other side. Your end that goes to rod and your dead end. Then you go ahead, just do an overlap. Pull that overlap through. Okay. So you've almost got a reef knot, but then you got this extra loop here. So you put that over your bait, your hook, or whatever you're tying. give it a kiss, and the kiss, or you can dump it in a lake if you're underwater, and that just gives it some lubrication, so when you pull it tight, there's no loss of structural integrity to the line. Fiskars! Fiskars! He was chewing the rod tip. Gosh darn cat. Anyways, I don't know that he might have chewed my line. So that's something you gotta watch too. If something damages the line, you gotta retie. Be it a fish. That darn cat. I don't know if you can see that. He did. He chewed my line. So, alright. Fiskars, you stay upstairs, buddy. I don't really need your help right now. Okay, let's try that again. So, yeah, so Fiskars chewed my line. He's getting to be a 3 or 4 year old cat now. You'd think he was still a kitten. Anyways, giant though, not to look at him. Here, Fiskars. If I can get him on camera here, I will. He's a big kitty cat. Actually, I got a video back in the winter. I think I started it out with him chasing me. He's quite the cat. You know me. I love my animals. Every friggin' one of them. Every friggin' one. They all have a personality and a story. Alright, well, thanks to Fiskars, you guys get another go through on the Palmar Knot. So why not? Let's go over it one more time. Here is knot tying class in session. I'm probably not the guy to learn from. You'd be better off learning from Les Stroud or something like that. But anyways, so you're through, you're back through, got a looped end, and then you've got 2 open end. Well, one goes back to the rod, the other one's open dead end. You do an overlap and through, put that loop around your lure, give it a kiss, pull it tight. Palmar Knot. And this time I got the rod away from the kitty cat. Now he's gone upstairs. I guess I was kind of a little harsh there. I'm going to have to give him an apology when I go up there. He didn't know any better. There was just a string on the floor. And he's a kitty cat. And, well, kitty cats like strings. Well, you just cut that. So you got like a, I don't know, 1/4 inch of excess there. Just in case there's any kind of slippage as it pulls tight or tighter. Then yeah, so a good 16 inches or so up off the top. We're gonna go ahead and put a split shot. Now the way I do this, some of you guys might cringe, but remember, it's only for perch and brook trout. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna lay it in there, and most guys would just crimp it there and call it a day. But I find if you're using these for any length of time, they loosen up a little bit and they tend to slip us. So I wrap it around. So you lay it in, wrap it around the back between the 2 little dorsal fins she's got at the back there, or wings, or whatever you want to call them. Then you grab your pliers, give her a squeeze. Let's go fishing. She's done. Nothing to her. I mean, you can, there is a special lubricant you can get for the reels. This one's still pretty skookum for the most part, so I'm not too worried about it. They don't want you using WD-40 on these because they don't want it getting into the water, which is understandable. I mean, it's a water displacement thing, so if enough of it get in the lake, you'd lose the lake, wouldn't you? Anyways, I already gone and got myself tangled up, and it didn't take long. So now there's just a tip, and only if you want her. Otherwise, you can throw her right back where she came from. They have these little... most of the rods have these little loops on the back of there, and that's for putting your hook on there. You don't necessarily want to go inside your eyelets. If you go up here, just use the webbings on the back. As if you put a hook inside the eyelet, you can likely scratch it, and that gets into that whole abrasive situation where you're ruining the structural integrity of your line. And say you do hook into a 5-pound bass, which I have caught 5-pound bass on this. You know what? I caught a 20-pound carp. My wife is my witness on this freaking rod with 4-pound test. It was a lot of drag pulling and fighting and having a good time. Nah. Anyways, that's not a fish story, man. Gosh, I wish I had that on camera. Anyways, Jeez, I just remembered that old Carl the Carp story, and I totally forgot what the heck I was on about. Right, the eyelets. So, yeah, it can scratch that up, and if you do hook into Carl the Carp, then you're going to run into some problems, because old Carl's got some muscle on him, and she's going to put this kind of setup to the test. Not really, I guess, recommended to go after 20-pound fish with 4-pound test, but you can do it. Oh, yes, you can. Anyways, I hope you found that useful. You know what? Go ahead and do this yourself. Give it a try. It doesn't cost much to try, and it's a very simple thing to do for those of you who won't. And for those of you who do, you know, maybe help somebody else who's getting into fishing and show them how to do this. Hands-on experience is probably the most efficient way to learn. You know, having somebody by your side while you're doing it. So, you know, get your rods strung up, get your families out there, let's get some perch, and, you know, it's springtime, so put a smile on and get out there and enjoy the weather. Till next time, take her easy.